Question 3. For this project, I definitely thought that finding enough time for each task was a struggle, especially at the end. In order to cope with deadlines for each task, I looked at the task deadline dates set by my teacher on the student portal and tried to complete tasks according to those. I also created a production schedule which helped me identify which tasks were complete and when I could complete unfinished tasks. Eventually, towards the end of the project, my time management became poor as I was missing photos for my final products and was several tasks behind as well. When it came to taking the pictures, I made sure to communicate with each of my models in order to set a time and date which would be suitable for both me and the model. These photos usually had to be taken at school, as all the high-value equipment and setup for our cover photos were in the media classroom. For my cover model, we planned the costume ahead of time, and so only had to meet up after school to take the pictures. I learned to sort out costume beforehand, as the lack of communication for one of my models, whose pictures I took before the cover photo, caused time after school when I was taking her pictures to be wasted due to confusion in costume and props. For my male model, I also arranged to meet up after school and use the hour to capture the pictures. Costume and props. I ended up choosing not to use props as I thought that the costumes themselves were effective on their own, and so I would have rather focused on them than the props. It was also a convention not to use props in pop-punk magazines, and so I followed this convention in my final products. All my costumes allowed each different model to take on a different personality, which was clear in the final pages, so I took each different costume under careful consideration. For my main cover image, I actually ended up ripping an old neon pink shirt, which allowed her to look rebellious and cool. I then compiled an outfit around the shirt. Due to this, the whole outfit ended up being black, including the blazer. For my male model, I looked at costumes in the drama department and luckily found the hat, which made my photo unique and allowed it to stand out. I also then coordinated the outfit around the hat, in order to make sure no parts of the outfit contrasted or distracted from it. This is why I picked an outfit that was simplistic and monochromatic. For my own outfit, I chose to wear all black and a black and white striped blazer so that I would look professional and authentic, but also welcoming and friendly like other editor pictures in Kerrang content pages. For the other image for the Living the Dream headline, I chose the conventional portrayal of a pop-punk artist. However, this may have been an outfit that was more conventional for male artists than female ones. For my double-page spread, the model wore a costume which consisted of ripped flannel shirt, a black camisole, and jeans. The ripped flannel shirt, I think, emphasized the impression that she would have given to my audience from the cover, as the shirt was also ripped there. This, I think, then would have given the image that she was fearless, confident, and determined. Technology and equipment. When taking the photos, I honestly hadn't had any experience with any kind of photography setup other than a DSLR camera, which I learned how to use in GCSE. Luckily, everything was all connected there, so all I had to do was press the button on the camera. Even though I didn't have to learn all the technicalities of the equipment, I did learn that specific equipment could be moved forwards and backwards in order to vary the light on the model and increase or decrease the shadows on them in order to create whichever effect I wanted the image to have. I had previously used applications such as Photoshop and InDesign when creating similar projects for my GCSE coursework, so I had some experience in using them. I think I definitely got better at using the content-aware fill option, as I used it to fill in my main model's hair on the cover so it would look more full. I also learned how to use specific shortcut keys in Photoshop such as Command-D to deselect any selected areas and Command-T to resize any images on the page. I also got more handy at using effects such as drop shadow and adding textures to some parts of the image after experimenting in Photoshop and looking at tutorials online to create special effects. I definitely needed to refresh my knowledge in InDesign when I first started using it, but then I got the hang of it eventually, as I even ended up using the pen tool to create shapes and placing a drop cap in the article. Lightroom was an application that I had never used before, and so I mostly played around with it at first when developing my images, but I slowly started to understand how to create more contrast and dark colors and more in the image after observing what happened each time I did something different to the images. Models. I used a total of 3 different models, 4 if I'm inclusive. I looked at these models and I'm glad that I was able to include both genders when the main theme in my cover and double-page spread was feminism. Asking people to model for me was not easy, as I had to find people who had time when I had time to take the pictures, and who were comfortable with having their photos taken and being confident about it. Fortunately, I was able to find a good number of models who were comfortable in front of a camera. Each of the different models took on a different personality when trying to become the artist they were playing, which I think came across in the photos beautifully. Locations. I took most of my shots at school as I relied on Photoshop and Lightroom for my visual effects that I layered on top of my photos in order to create convincing images. My main image on the front cover was taken in front of a studio setup within our classroom, which had a white background, lightbox, and other technologies available to use for the photo. My double-page spread photo was taken in front of a white wall at school as I needed a simple background for her costume and for the graffiti effect that would be placed on top of it to stand out. My contents page images were taken similarly, with the female model's image being taken in the media classroom setup just like my main models, and the male models being taken on some benches at school in order to elevate his position and make him look like he was sitting down and directly addressing the camera. The photo for my album cover was taken outside my house, but as that background is not included because it didn't really relate to pop punk in any way, I chose to create my own backdrop in Photoshop. The editor image was taken in front of a dark background in order to create some more contrast in the background of my images. This picture was taken at my house. Design drafts and how they related to my final products. My design draft for my front cover I think is the closest to the corresponding final product out of all the 3 drafts for my 3 products. I identified many of the conventions on that draft page and so carried them through as well onto my final cover, such as the rip above the masthead and the overall layout of the cover. For my contents page, I carried on elements such as one main image covering the half of the page, the 3 columns of information, and the editor section from my draft to my final piece. But I think I definitely overestimated how many pictures I could have taken and how much thought really went into taking them when drawing my contents layout draft. For my double-page spread, I carried on the convention of the article being on one side and the photo being on the other from my draft to my final piece, but then also ended up deviating from the layout plan I set once I started using InDesign and getting a better idea of what I could do for my double page spread.